Costly Legacy by Mary Ann Barter. Copyright 2020. Recorded with the express permission of the author and copyright owner. Read by Corey Ivany. Chapter 4. As history would have it, few facts were passed down of the last epic battle that forced Slicks underground. An old wife's tale full of holes and confusion, ignorant of threat, the masses lived an illusion. Except for those tasked with the knowledge to keep, to hold off the evil way down in the deep. Generations of elders in Chiron's strong tribe labored for centuries to keep citizens alive. As leaders died off and the duty passed downwards, the gravest of jobs with the world on their shoulders, with one obligation of the gravest administration, to keep Slicks in the hold of eternal damnation. Only one thing could help them making the potential spell stop, born of the mixing of blood from opposing magic stock. As their offspring would be cursed, and then hold the key to bring forth the worst that their world would ever see. The love of the differing was vehemently banned, those tempting the fates taken well into hand. But after eons of warnings and stories and tales, the doubting of youth thought it a ship without sails. So under elder noses a couple's passion was found. This love was oblivious where their warnings abound. Desperation and longing they would die to unite, not believing their actions would bring forth a plight. Eli's mother a nymph, and his father a wizard, opposing mixtures of magic like warm winds and a blizzard. Their love was well hidden till a wee boy was born, bringing forth the elders' wrath and full scorn. For they knew that this child from a match undesired could reap forth a prophecy of thunder and fire. Gates that the ancestors had sealed with all might, the high court of Chiron were tasked to keep tight. Now this could be broken and bring chaos unyielding, carnage and bedlam and bloodlust unending. Faced with the reality that their efforts had failed, the birth of this baby had tipped down the scales. The knowledge to elders of this destructive transgression knew a duty must be done with resolve and aggression. They talked and they planned and they debated with strife. One child must be sacrificed to save all of life. The decision was made, the order was shared. To protect other innocents, this boy shan't be spared. His foolish parents as well will be granted their rest, for letting them live would invite more unrest. Those living in oblivion may not understand, but they will do what they must to protect all the land. Now the wizard, no fool, used a magical charm, listening to the elders, for he knew they meant harm, and off to the wood where his nymph and boy lay, with a pocket of magic to whisk them away, to a magical world few knew where to find, protected so that those with ill intentions were blind. Passed down from his father, the secret he'd kept, this place was a haven where his sire's soul slept. With a few special words and a pop in the air, across a mystical boundary it brought them right there. He wept as he hugged his beautiful boy and his wife. In this place his child would be shielded from life. Then a tingling feeling from his head to his feet warned them these woods were no longer pristine. The ambience was poisoned, the air now a stench. The wizard could sense the reeking old wench. He'd thought it impossible to break Haven's spell, but a witch now took residence way up on the hill. He stood there in silence with sweat on his skin, but the spell's charm was holding, grant no black magic in. Their presence was shielded, but for how much longer? He knew evil was a weed, and with time it grew stronger. So deep in the forest he took his two loves, down in a valley where trees fit tight like a glove. "We must return to our world," said the wizard to his dearest, "and never bring back danger to our boy in this forest. We'll throw them off track, and we'll never reveal, for in our death we'll be sure that his safety is sealed. We'll mourn for our boy like he took his last breath, and convince the key council that our boy's lost in death. Guardians we will make, from the life in the trees, a small fortress of magic that'll fulfill all his needs." Through the tears and the sobbing, and with magical might, where once rabbits and boars, there were people in sight. The trees turned to houses, the pond now a well, a farm and a granary, and a school with a bell. A quaint little town full of morphs now eternal, to be hidden forever from a world quite external. For in human form some traits would still linger, the instinct of animals to be wary of danger. Then came the guardians from the strongest at hand. An eagle made a mother, a bear for a dad. And given instruction to be vigilant and bold, they'd discourage the magic young Eli's might hold. To watch him and guard him and keep him at hand, and his legacy be told when he could understand. They handed him over with sickness and despair, the desperate anguish of a parent's nightmare. Heart aching in torment, their souls veiled in black, they walked from the clearing and never looked back. So, armed with the knowledge left there in that land, the cooing young baby would grow to a man, and wed the young Beth, a morph human now grown. They'd explore the magic forest for a spot all their own, miles away from the village, built to shield them from view, saying goodbye to the morphs for a life fresh and new. But out of nature was his beautiful wife. She must stay within the boundaries for the rest of her life. So they built the log cabin that would keep them quite warm in their peaceful, quaint valley that kept them from harm. Until unknown to them the boundary would falter, for the myths were all true, and the spell it would alter. Following the footsteps of his parents' transgression, the mixing of magics without ample reflection. Conceiving a child, they'd repeated this past, and in causing a flux, the witch sensed them at last. Magic is fickle, whether using little or lots. Sometimes the smallest of actions can undo the knots. The witch biding her time, she knew to lie low, and wait for such time that the fetus would grow.